to part 3. So in the last tutorial we showed that we could add a list of these expressions into the database. And, you know, that's okay, but wouldn't it be nice to add a little bit extra to it? So wouldn't it be nice to get a list of the expressions that were run? And we're going to do that using a familiar method, which would be, we're going to do a get. We're going to return a list. Should be Java util. And then we're going to return a list of expression, because get all run expressions. This is going to be the way that we view our log. And just like we did before, we probably want everything to be in JSON. So let's just go ahead and slap a produces media type dot application JSON. Let's put that on there, and then let's go ahead and inject an instance of our expression DAO. And then we're going to do expdao dot get all. Now that method doesn't exist, which is why it's giving me an error. So let's create it. And just for the sake of simplicity, we want to return expression DAO dot get all. So it should return a list of expression. Public list expression get all. Now, for those of you who've already used SQL statements, this is not going to look all that new, but it is different. So I'm going to do em entity manager dot create query, and then I'm going to give it a query string, select e from, I don't want this, I'm trying to validate, from, and then we're going to give it our table name, which, if you recall from the Excel document that we're using to kind of approximate this, the table name is called expression, from expression e. Dot get result list. Return. And that's it. That's all we have to do. So this is going to return to us a list of all the queries that have been run. So let's go back and run this thing and see what happens. All right. Go to your terminal, Maven clean, Wildfly-Swarm run. All right, our application's ready to go. So let's run a couple queries against it. So I'm going to run a query, and then all right, now let's do a get to see the results of those queries. Curl I localhost 8080 calculator, and this is going to be a get. And I'm going to do an echo just to get a new line. There we go. We get a list of our queries in JSON format. That's pretty neat. So we've actually saved something into a real database, and then we've gotten the same data back. Now, if this were a real application, this would not be all that useful, because you got this whole, like, you just get a list of all the expressions that were run. What if you were trying to use this to, say you had something sort of like Wolfram Alpha, where you were processing really advanced mathematical expressions? You would probably want to log more information about these expressions, like, say, maybe when they occurred. So let's start with doing like a simple, let's start with doing a simple thing where we just add an attribute for the time, at date and time. But I'm going to put a pause on that because we've already covered how to get data back out of the database and how to sort of just dump whatever's in it. And I think that's enough for one tutorial. So this one's a little shorter. See you next time.